Hey, cutie patooties. My name's Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine. Today I wanted to talk about toxic femininity. Excellent. Let's flip this coin over. Love it. I'm thinking about Libras right now because I have a Libra Venus, which is my female side. Speaking of femininity. And Libras love to flip coins because they like harmony and they like balance. And so your Libra friends are the ones that, like, when you say something, they'll be like, but what about this side? And it's just because they really want to acknowledge the whole thing. And I'm so grateful to that aspect of life because two-leggeds can often kind of like really aggressively just look at one side of the coin and just be like, this side of the coin, but we got to think about this side of the coin. So like with the Me Too movement, I had a lot of thoughts about all the men that were sexually assaulted. And like, when is society going to talk about that? The sexual assault of men. Are we going to Me Too on that conversation? Because I've talked to a lot of men that have dealt with very sexually aggressive women that were probably assaulted, but just the dynamics of that, of how, like, it doesn't really matter what your genitals are doing. There's opportunity for any two-legged to get sexually assaulted down here because it's one of the things that Earth School offers. So I'm always, my Libra Venus always wants to look at all of it. Let's look at all of this. What does everything on the topic say? And so today I want to do this by looking truly at toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. But I feel like there's need for balance and harmony to occur with the two-leggeds for both sides of this coin to be discussed. Toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, I think it's important to start with a foundational tenet of every two-legged has both qualities within themselves. I do not only contain femininity because I have a vagina. And men do not only contain masculinity because they have a penis. And, all due respect to being intersexed or whatever your genitalia is doing, whether you're cis or trans or genderqueer or any of that, this conversation is for everybody. Everybody has feminine and masculine principle. Astrology will elucidate this with the Venus and Mars placements. Venus energy, Venusian energy being the feminine principle within the entity, Martian energy being the masculine principle within the entity. And every natal birth chart you do for any two-legged here, you're going to talk to them about their feminine and masculine principle. One of the larger ways I see this dualistic nature in each two-legged presencing itself historically throughout the annals of time is through the concept of Kundalini. Kundalini, many know this as the symbol of the caduceus, a staff with two snakes entwined, which is often seen on ambulances and as a medical symbol on medical bracelets. That caduceus, that symbol, is actually the symbol of Kundalini. It's the symbol of three nadis or three energy centers that are present in Indian philosophy. So this principle of Kundalini is something that the Mayans focused on. It's been focused on in Africa, China, Japan, India, in the Americas by the natives. Just so many cultures you can find speak to this concept of Kundalini energy, which rests at the base of the spine. Many two-leggeds are familiar with the 7 chakras. Some people are familiar with etheric chakras that move beyond the 7. And many of you watching this may even know quite a bit more than I do with all my years of study on those topics. In India, much like with Chinese acupuncture, where you talk about energy or qi or ki that moves through the body, there is this similar focus in India where there are energy centers or ways that prana or breath or energy or chi or ki can move through the body. And in India, there seem to be 72,000 nadis or 72,000 energy centers in the body, 7 of which are the chakras. But there are 3 others that are quite fundamental to assisting the two-legged in getting in balance, preventing midlife crisis, preventing the low energy concept. Two-leggeds love to be like, I'm tired, or I don't have any energy. I've definitely done it a bunch. I'm tired. And then I like to laugh. I'm made of energy. That's a ridiculous statement, because it is. It's just like separation from self to identify with you're made out of energy. Like, energy doesn't get tired. My subatomic particles don't go, let's take a little nap. They never nap. They're always moving. I'm always made of energy that's in movement. It's just a disassociation from that aspect of my being. So good to laugh at the self. Just P.S. Side note, good to laugh at yourself. Really good medicine. What I can say is the three additional nadis that are kind of foundational, like the chakra system. One is called a sushumna. A sushumna is like a tube, if you can imagine a PVC tube sitting in front of your spine, or glass tube. Doesn't matter if you're just like, oh, I don't want to think of plastic. Just imagine it. It's really an energetic tube that is directly in front of your spine, and so it's going to be a tube, and that is an energetic dynamic in and of itself. At the base of that tube, in the pelvis area, where we have the root chakra, at the base of the pelvis, there are two energy centers called the Ida and the Pingala. Ida is lunar, cold, feminine, principle, receptive. Pingala is red, hot, masculine, solar, principle. And every two-legged has an Ida and a Pingala. They have the yin feminine, and they have the yang or yang masculine. They have both. And I won't go into a long Kundalini talk, but Kundalini is literally the unlocking of that Ida and Pingala, unlocking in a double helix spiral at each chakra, and unlocking that energy to prevent midlife crisis by moving it up into the higher, more spiritual chakras, activating creative energy and creative vision for the life, healing the self, healing others, reassociating the consciousness back with the energetic dynamic that you were made of at the midlife marker. So it can be used in a lot of ways. What I want to say is any two-legged that gets out of balance in the Pingala solar hot masculine principle that is present in them, the way that masculinity becomes toxic, masculinity like a penis going out, similar to that symbology, or the symbol for Mars, a circle with an arrow pointing out, the symbology that we have of masculine being energy out. The masculine principle is about action, strategy, thought, the capacity for thought to find solution, to move forward, to activate. And the yin feminine principle within every two-legged, irrespective of what your genitals are doing on a personal level, but the yin perspective, or the concept called female, is about energy going in, because the vagina goes in, and inside the vagina is emptiness. If you reach into a vagina and grab for something, you're going to pull out a handful of nothing. So the feminine principle is about receiving and taking in, being able to be a void that can just take in and receive conversation, receive communication, receive the outer activation of others. When we just receive, the way femininity can become toxic is if you just only receive, then you're not acting, you're not doing, you're not going out, making it happen. You're just taking in. If I decide to rest in the peaceable cave of rest, calm, void, if I literally go into a cave, there's a beautiful cave here in New Mexico that I love to go visit. If I were to crawl into that cave and just be like, just stay in this cave now, and I'm just going to cave living, y'all. And I find that cave happens to be a wolf den, I might be in for a big surprise. So femininity becomes toxic when we only receive. We start to over-identify the self as lazy, non-active. We don't have boundaries. So you can be toxically feminine in your principle, over-activated Ida, over-activated yin energy in the vessel, when you just are receptive, and you take in some of what is not wanted or desired in the life. Because if you're going to remain in the receptive principle and you're in a dualistic realm, you're bound to take in some things you don't really want to experience. So the balance of feminine and masculine principle with the balance of masculine, you're going to have boundaries. You're going to have a point at which you go, actually, I'm not going to receive right now. I don't choose that. When you have balance, you know when to act and when to be still. So there's a stillness to the receptive principle. In that same vein, if you're overly active, if you're overly strategizing, thinking, doing, you might need to slow down, take a breath, slow down and take a breath real quick, drink a cup of tea. And that was what was needed for me. Today, Heather was all week actually, I've been toxic masculinity in form. And how has that been so? Every day I've woken up with like a long list, a strategic list of what needs to get done in the order of priority. Woke up this morning, went to go pick up my friend Magnolia from the airport, a dear new shaman friend that I've met here in Albuquerque. But I had this long list, like I need to go get sushi because I teach class tonight and I need to quickly eat. And so I like was just running around. Like came home and was like, let me quickly rearrange my bedroom. And it's like, I'm just like adding stuff to it. And all day today, I kept, thanks to my constant development of my intuition and my receptive principle and my balance that I currently walk in the feminine and masculine principle throughout the day. My feminine principle, my Ida, kept telling my Pingala, hey, take a breath. Hey, slow down. Hey, tomorrow's another day. It doesn't have to all get done today. Hey, what amount of your day is about calmly receiving yourself, receiving the day, just taking it in? The best way to take action is to activate feminine principle first. Receive the self, receive the vision, receive the idea, receive others around the idea. Then masculine act. Do, think, strategize about what needs to occur regarding the wisdom that was received by being in the vessel. When we work with the two in balance, because every two-legged has both, when we work with the two in balance, we take time to be in the cave, in the void, in the beautiful blackness of the void, the delicious blackness of the void, the gestation of the seed. We allow ourselves to sit with the seed and sit with all that wisdom that rests in the seed. And we also, in equal balance and in equal measure, move and act and push forth and burst forth from the seed and activate the blooming of what a seed would bear forth. The active principle, the dynamic principle, as opposed to the receptive principle. So we work with both and we harmonize both. When you're being toxically feminine, you can be associating the self as lazy. I'm just so lazy. I don't feel like doing anything, which is all two-leggeds, I think, deal with that at some point. Overactivated Ida, overactivated receptivity. And what I like to do if I get like, I'm tired or I'm lazy, I like to just laugh immediately myself, like, you silly fool, you're made out of energy. And I say that with reverence to the word fool. I don't judge that the way most people do, but more like a fool card, like, come on, you silly Billy. You're made of energy. Your subatomic particles, the atoms that you're comprised of, never stop moving. They're never like, let me just take a little nap. They're always all moving. I'm made out of energy. It's silly. So if we get too yin, we might want to just be in the cave and not engage and not act and not think about it. And I just want to feel. But that can become its own imbalance. I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, a specific one on this tsunami that hit Japan and all of the experiences that were resultant from that. So not all, but I mean, so many were shared in this episode. And one of them was about a priest, a shaman man that spent so much of his time in the inner yin receptive principle of meditating that when this tsunami hit, there was great masculine principle as well as feminine principle that were needed. There were some actions that were needed. And it took him some reflecting to understand what action, what words are needed, what thoughts and words are needed for this person that lost their whole family. What are the actions? What are the statements? What is the strategy? What are the words as I receive people in their hour of trial and tribulation? My question to myself and my question to you, my constant question with self is like, are you in balance? Are you in balance? But today it's around femininity and masculinity. Are you, beloved sacred temple of a two-legged, made of energy, always will be, are you in balance with receiving yourself, receiving others, setting boundaries, acting, strategizing, and planning, and then doing what needs to be done about what you've received? Are you balancing the two? Are you establishing boundaries? Are you being toxically feminine and toxically receptive? Take some ginseng, get some active music on, jump around if you need to activate yang or yang, and slow down, deep breathe, calm down, receive the self if you need to actively yin. Blessed be.